Recently, the U.S. government announced new taxes, tariffs, on goods imported from Canada. This decision has created tension between the two countries, which have one of the world's biggest trade partnerships. Under the new rules, many everyday products from Canada could face a 25% tariff, while energy-related items might have a 10% tariff. Originally, these tariffs were set to begin on February 4, 2025, but they have been delayed by at least 30 days, moving the start date to March 5, 2025. Many businesses were relieved by this delay, but U.S. President Donald Trump quickly introduced an additional 25% tariff on aluminum and steel from Canada and other countries. Since the situation is changing rapidly, businesses must prepare for the potential impact on their profits and customers. In this video, we will cover what are tariffs, a quick explanation of what tariffs are and why governments use them, how tariffs affect businesses. We'll explore how these new taxes could shrink profits, raise prices, and disrupt supply chains, especially for small and medium-sized businesses. Who pays the tariffs? We'll explain who actually ends up paying these costs, and it's probably not who you think. Who suffers the most? We'll break down which businesses, industries, and consumers will feel the biggest impacts and why they're the most vulnerable. Industries most affected. From automotive and manufacturing to retail, food, agriculture, and technology, we'll highlight the sectors most at risk. How Canadian businesses can prepare. Practical strategies Canadian companies can use to navigate these challenges. Final summary, wrapping up the key takeaways and what this means for the future of Canada-US trade. What are tariffs? A tariff is a tax that a government places on imported goods. The goal of tariffs is usually to protect local businesses by making foreign products more expensive. This encourages people to buy locally made products instead. While this idea seems beneficial, Canada and the U.S. depend on each other for many essential goods. Many economists warn that these tariffs could backfire, leading to higher prices, job losses, and even a recession. How tariffs affect businesses. A tariff acts like a fee that businesses must pay when importing or exporting goods. It serves different purposes, such as protecting local industries by making foreign products more expensive, generating revenue for the government, influencing trade deals between countries. Every day, around $3.5 billion worth of goods and services move between Canada and the U.S. This huge amount of trade means that tariffs can have a serious impact, especially on small and medium-sized businesses. Canada supplies the U.S. with important goods like wood, petroleum, food, and auto parts. If Canadian businesses are forced to pay tariffs on these items, their profits will shrink, and some may even struggle to stay open. Who pays the tariffs? There's often confusion about who actually pays tariffs. Many people assume that tariffs are a tax paid directly by the foreign country exporting the goods, in this case, Canada. However, that's not how tariffs work. In reality, tariffs are paid by the importer, the company in the U.S. that buys the goods from Canada. When these Canadian products cross the border into the U.S., American companies must pay the tariff fee to bring them into the country. What happens next? Once U.S. companies pay the tariffs, they have a few options, all of which have consequences. 1. Absorb the cost. Large businesses with healthy profit margins might choose to absorb some or all of the additional cost. However, for many companies, especially smaller businesses, this is not sustainable long-term. Absorbing these costs shrinks profits and can lead to layoffs to cut costs, reduced investment in business expansion or innovation, Lower wages for workers. 2. Pass the cost to customers. Most businesses, especially those with tight profit margins, will raise prices on the products they sell to cover the cost of the tariffs. This means everyday items become more expensive for American consumers. Inflation rises, especially on goods that heavily rely on cross-border supply chains like food, clothing, and electronics. 3. Find new suppliers. If importing from Canada becomes too expensive, businesses may seek alternative suppliers in other countries, or domestically in the U.S. However, this isn't always easy. Finding reliable suppliers can take time. Domestic products may also be more expensive than imports, meaning costs could still rise. Shifting suppliers may disrupt supply chains, delay deliveries, and reduce product quality. Who suffers the most? 1. Small and medium-sized businesses. Limited ability to absorb extra costs. Unlike large corporations, small businesses don't have the financial cushion to absorb rising costs. Rely heavily on cross-border trade. Many small businesses in sectors like retail, manufacturing, and food services depend on affordable Canadian imports. Harder to compete. When they raise prices, they risk losing customers to bigger competitors or cheaper alternatives. 2. Consumers, everyday people. Ultimately, American consumers bear a significant burden. When prices rise across everyday goods like food, household items, clothing, and cars, households, especially lower-income families, feel the pinch the most. Inflation on essential goods can make life more expensive, reducing purchasing power and leading to lower living standards. 3. Workers in both countries. Businesses facing lower profits might cut jobs or reduce hiring, leading to higher unemployment. In Canada, manufacturers and exporters could lose critical U.S. customers, leading to layoffs in Canadian industries like steel, aluminum, and agriculture. In the U.S., industries that rely on Canadian materials, like automotive manufacturing, may see production slow, costing American jobs. 4. Export-dependent industries. Certain sectors in Canada, such as agriculture, forestry, and steel, heavily depend on American buyers. Tariffs make their goods less competitive, which can shrink their market share and hurt profits. American industries that use Canadian raw materials, like auto and construction industries, also suffer when material costs rise, making their final products more expensive and less competitive globally. Industries. Most affected by U.S. tariffs on Canada. Some industries will be hit harder than others. Larger companies might be able to absorb the costs, but small and medium businesses could struggle. Here are some key sectors that will be impacted. Automotive and manufacturing. Companies that use U.S. auto parts or raw materials will see their costs go up. Retail and consumer goods. Everyday products like clothing, shoes, and home items may become more expensive, forcing small retailers to adjust their prices. Food and beverage. American food products such as poultry, dairy, and alcohol will face higher import costs, which will impact grocery stores and restaurants. Agriculture. Canadian farmers exporting wheat and baked goods to the U.S. might struggle to compete with local American producers. Electronics. Importing tech products from the U.S. will become pricier, affecting online businesses and small IT companies. In conclusion, tariffs between the United States and Canada may seem like a tool to protect domestic industries, but they often create unintended ripple effects that hurt both economies. While governments may hope to encourage local production or gain leverage in trade negotiations, the reality is more complex. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel and support us. Thank you.